San Francisco is not sitting in wait-and-see mode. It is sitting in accountability mode. When a defense walks into 2026 with Nick Bosa coming back from injury, young linemen under pressure to take a leap, and roster drama still hanging around Santa Clara, every single decision becomes a test of strength. Today is not the day to excuse lazy reads. There is a second-year player who may have to hold the line, a veteran pass rusher back on the radar, a criticized rookie starting to get respect from around the league, and a receiver situation that could explode for good. Subscribe right now, because this script comes with no anesthesia, and the first hit of the day starts exactly where real championships are usually won, up front on defense. Everybody looks at Michael Williams, and I understand it. First-round pick, physical talent, major investment, a name carrying serious expectations. But his second NFL season comes with a brutal weight. He played only 9 games as a rookie before tearing his ACL. And when a young player is coming back from that kind of injury, especially at a position built on explosion, power through the ground, and trust in every cut, you cannot just throw hype on his shoulders and act like the body catches up at the same speed as the headline. That is why Brad Gagnon from Bleacher Report went straight to Alfred Collins as the most important second-year player on the 49ers. And you know what? That read has more bite than it may seem at first. Collins does not have the easy shine of a first-rounder, but he may have the dirtier, heavier, more immediate responsibility. With Nick Bosa also coming back from an ACL injury, San Francisco's defensive line cannot just sit around waiting for a miracle. Somebody has to absorb double teams, close space, push the pocket, create discomfort inside, and let this defense breathe while the bigger names work their way back into rhythm. Collins had 17 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 4 quarterback hits, 1 sack, 2 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries as a rookie. He played 492 defensive snaps, almost half of the defense's plays. That is not nothing for a rookie interior lineman. But here comes the demand, because a major fan base does not live on honest participation. His overall Pro Football Focus grade was 35.0, tied with CJ West among the lowest on the roster. That screams mandatory development. And when Fred Warner talks about a 3-headed monster on the defensive line with Alfred Collins, CJ West, and Michael Williams, I listen. Warner does not waste words. He knows the 49ers defense only becomes feared again if the young guys stop being promises and start becoming real problems for offensive coordinators. Collins is the raw pressure gauge of that rebuild inside. If he jumps in year 2, San Francisco gains muscle, rotation, and survival. If he stalls, the pressure drops straight onto a defense that has no luxury for excuses. Then comes a name that does not need a long introduction in Santa Clara: Leonard Floyd. This is not the kind of rumor that walks in screaming superstar, but that is exactly why it gets under your skin. Because it makes too much sense. Floyd was with the 49ers in 2024, delivered 8.5 sacks, then went to Atlanta on a 1-year deal, and now his name is floating back into the 2026 market conversation. Not as the franchise savior, not as a luxury piece, as a grown man in the rotation, as reliable pressure, as someone who understands what a defense at this level demands. I will say it straight. If the 49ers think they can survive a contender season putting the entire pass rush bill on Nick Bosa's back while he is coming off injury, they are playing with fire. Bosa is elite. He is the engine. He is part of the identity. But a serious defense cannot rely on one man to scare quarterbacks, especially when the interior still has to prove growth and Michael Williams is also coming off an ACL. The math is simple and brutal. Without constant pressure, the secondary suffers. Without rotation, late-game snaps get heavy. Without a trustworthy veteran, January collects payment. Floyd may no longer be the kind of name that changes the entire face of the unit, but he still brings length, experience, snap recognition, and familiarity. And familiarity in this case is not a small detail. He knows the building, he knows the standard, he knows the kind of run San Francisco is trying to make. A return would not fix everything, but it could keep the defense from getting too thin when the schedule starts tightening. The aggressive point is this: the 49ers do not need to win the headline debate. They need to win snaps. If Floyd is available at the right price, this conversation deserves to stay alive, because pass rush on a title team is not decoration. It is life insurance. It is pressure stacked over 4 quarters. It is the difference between a comfortable quarterback in the 4th quarter and a forced mistake that flips a season. Now hold on to this one, because this is the kind of news that exposes how many people scream on draft day and then act like they never said a word. The 49ers did not have a first-round pick in 2026, opened the second round at pick 33, and took Zhaun Stribling. Immediately, the criticism came pouring down. Massive reach, too early, San Francisco forcing a need. The full package of rushed judgment that always shows up when the internet thinks it knows more than a franchise's evaluation room. But now comes the fun part. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN spoke with league executives about their favorite offseason moves, and the Stribbling pick was one of the moves that drew praise. And it was not some soft little compliment. One NFC executive said he was going in the first 5 to 10 picks of the second round, that it was not a reach at all, and that the kid can really play. Translation for everyone who criticized with full confidence. Maybe the 49ers did not panic. Maybe they read the market better than the digital bleachers. This is where I defend San Francisco without apologizing for it. If Kyle Shanahan sees a receiver as an ideal fit for what this offense wants to do, you do not judge that only by public prospect rankings. You judge separation, route intelligence, blocking, timing, versatility, mental toughness, and the ability to function inside a system that demands more than running straight and posting pretty highlights. The 49ers offense is not a playground. Receivers here have to process, sell movement, accept contact, and turn small details into big yards. Stribbling arrives after 5 college seasons, 3 different schools, and 2 strong final campaigns, going over 50 catches, 800 yards, and 6 touchdowns in each of the last 2 seasons. That shows growth, not randomness. It shows a player who kept improving when a lot of guys would have already disappeared from the radar. And in a wide receiver room that has changed a lot, he does not need to wait 3 years to have a role if he proves himself quickly. I want the faithful to jump into this debate without sitting on the fence. Are you buying the Stribbling pick, or do you still think the 49ers should have waited? Because to me, when league executives confirm the value was in that range, the criticism loses power. The real debate becomes something else. Did Shanahan get a piece he can shape right away, or just another developmental bet? The answer will show up on the field, but today, San Francisco is not the side that needs to explain itself. The people who called it a mistake too early do. And then we get to the storyline that simply refuses to leave the front door in Santa Clara, Brandon Aiyuk. But the read is getting colder for anyone expecting a direct trade with Washington. Mike Garafolo of NFL Network reported from Virginia that the Commanders are not looking to press for Aiyuk right now. They could look at him if he becomes a free agent, especially because of the Jaden Daniels connection. But a trade? Based on the tone of the report, that does not sound like the path Washington wants to push at the moment. That changes the temperature of the whole discussion. Because a lot of people say, just move him, like the contract, financial commitment, draft return, and roster control are simple buttons. They are not. Any Aiyuk deal was always carrying issues with the number, the risk, and the real level of interest. Based on the scenario being discussed, any return would probably land in the final rounds of the draft. And that brings up the brutal question. Is San Francisco really going to hand over a talented receiver for scraps just to end the noise? A serious franchise cannot act on impulse when the other side of the market knows you are under pressure. The sharpest part is the mechanism. According to Garafolo, if Aiyuk wants to speed up a move to Washington, he would have to show a willingness to show up in Santa Clara. From there, the 49ers could decide they do not want that risk in the building, do not want him getting injured there, do not want the situation taking up space, and then they could release him. If he does not show up, San Francisco does not have to do anything. The list he is on is used for players who are typically retiring, and the team would not be obligated to pay him without his attendance. That is chess with flames around the board. Aiyuk wants a path? He has to move the piece. Washington wants the opportunity? It seems willing to wait. The 49ers want control? Then they cannot blink first if the return value is weak. That is what separates firm management from emotional reaction. You can like the player, you can be tired of the saga, you can believe the locker room needs to turn the page. But the front office has to see the whole board. And I will give my read as a demanding fan. San Francisco should not kneel to an outside narrative. If Aiyuk shows up and a release becomes the cleanest path, the team should act quickly and protect the environment. If he does not show up, there is no reason to give away control for free. The title window already carries too much pressure for this franchise to do favors for Washington, for a rival, for an agent, or for a headline. The 49ers need to decide like a contender, not like a team trapped by noise. Put it all together and the demand is the same. The 49ers cannot treat 2026 like some comfortable adjustment season. Collins has to grow. Floyd, if the market opens, has to be evaluated seriously. Stribbling deserves to get past the lazy judgment and prove in Shanahan's offense why the league respected the pick. And Aiyuk? The franchise has to control that story without giving away value or authority. That is the red and gold standard. Talent with consequence, decisions with force, a roster with depth. If you want to follow every move in this Santa Clara fight, hit the like button, subscribe to 49ers Express, and ride with the faithful.